What were we saying? Oh, the weapons you carried.
Yeah. How did you deal with the horrors of the war?
1 second at a time. I used to be in pretty bad shape. I used to have nightmares just about every night. Thankfully, I'm down now to where I still have nightmares, but only 3, maybe 4 a year. My wife has learned almost the hard way that if I'm asleep in the bed and start thrashing around, she gets up, gets out of the bed, and gets away from me. Because I will hurt her and not even know that I have. If I give you a example, my ex-wife, I tried to tell her that if I started thrashing around in the bed, obviously in a nightmare, to get out of bed, grab me by the feet to try and wake me up. If she couldn't, to get out of the room. I don't know if she didn't believe me or if she wasn't paying any attention or what. But I had a nightmare one night. In my nightmare, we were back in Vietnam, under attack. We were being overrun. We were out of ammunition. We're down to hand-to-hand combat. There was a VC that had his hands around my throat trying to choke me, and I had my hands around his throat trying to choke him. When I came to and realized what I was doing, I was in the corner of my bedroom. I had my hands around my wife's throat up in the corner, and her feet was about 6 inches off the floor.
That's so scary.
What had happened was that when I started going into the dream thrashing around, instead of getting out of bed, she reached across over the top of me and grabbed me by the shoulders trying to wake me up. And that fed right into the dream. She was already starting to turn blue when I realized what was going on and released her. After that, if I even turned over real sudden in bed, she got out of bed and went in the other room.
I bet.
But thank the Lord, those nightmares don't come that often anymore.
Is there anything in particular that helped it go away, or just time?
I think Tom will agree that most Vietnam vets have found out that if you can get with other combat veterans that have been through the same or similar circumstances and get it out in the open, talk about it, it helps you to get over it.
Yes.
It doesn't cure it, it doesn't get rid of it,
Right.
but it helps you to deal with it. People that, you got all these shrinks and everything out here that they've got all this book learning and they think they know what they're doing, but if they haven't been there, if they haven't experienced it, they don't have a clue.
Right.
Just like you baking a cake if you've never done it before.
I guess.
It's a good scenario.
It's a
Or
good
making
analogy.
cookies.
It's like that, it's like that country western song that, shoot, I can't remember what the girl's name was that used to sing it. Anyway, part of the words said, if you've never had filet mignon, peanut butter tastes just fine.
Yeah. True. True.
That's good. So how old were you when you entered the war?
I just turned 19.
Were you drafted?
Yes and no. Initially, I enlisted. I thought it was kind of funny. I'd been in Vietnam almost 6 months, and the post office forwarded my draft notice to me. I mailed it back to my draft board. I said, I'll be happy to show up for your draft. Just get me out of here. They had a sense of humor. They sent me a letter back and said that they had planned on giving me a all-expense-paid trip to the Far East, but since I was already there, they'd give my vacation package to somebody else. So I said, well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, really. That's funny. Anything else?
What else, ladies? What do you think about it?
Well, it's really interesting listening to you guys because I've never talked to anyone about it before.
Yeah, my grandpa's in the war, but he doesn't talk about it.
Tell him from experience to sit and talk to someone about it. Tell you what happened. Tell his family what happened. You'll get it off your chest and you feel so much better.
How long did it take for y'all to start talking about it after y'all came home?
2 days.
To your wife?
Yeah.
Took me a lot longer. when I wasn't even out of the airport coming home before I'd been spit on is because I was a veteran.
Yeah.
I'd been cursed.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Here?
Yeah.
Why were they?
This was in California, when we came back to California.
Because at that time, people didn't recognize that we should be in Vietnam. That was the early 70s, just before we got out of Dodge.
And it was our fault because we were there.
And that's why all these veterans are being killed over there. And sooner or later, more than likely, we're going to have the same scenario happening because of where we're at overseas at the present time, ladies. Think about it.
And you know, another thing that's really sad, because of the way Vietnam veterans were treated when they came back. You know, we lived and breathed to catch that freedom bird back to the real world, and then everything was going to be all right. And we got here, and it wasn't all right. We were cursed, we were spit on, we were kicked in the shins, you know, all this sort of stuff. But think about this, just over 58,900 servicemen died in Vietnam. Over twice that many have committed suicide since returning from Vietnam.
I didn't know any about either.
It's the
Sorry to
sobering
bust your
statistics.
bubble, ladies, but that's life in the big city.
I know, that's so sad.
It's rough.
Do you think, looking back, if you were drafted, would you try to dodge it, or would you would have went?
It's a rough decision. I would like to say that I would have gone because I love my country. But I don't know that anyone can honestly make a sound decision on that until they're actually put in that situation.
That's true.
Knowing what I know now, knowing what I've been through, and to a much lesser degree I'm still going through, it would be a tough decision. I still have other things besides the nightmares. I don't know if Tom has or not, but
Not anymore since I've been talking about it.
yeah.
It's gone. But I talk about them at least once a month.
Well, in addition to that, I've got I contracted jungle rot while I was there, which there's no cure for. I've got Agent Orange poisoning, which there's no cure for. I guess that's the main thing besides the nightmares.
Yeah.
What's jungle rot?
Jungle rot, the best I can describe it to you is it gets on your feet, and it's kind of like a crossbreed between leprosy and athlete's foot. You can temporarily arrest the symptoms, but you can never be totally free of it. I've seen photographs of guys that did not take care of their feet, and it got to the point where they'd take their shoes and socks off and one or two toes would come off in their socks. It can get that bad. That's why I'm a member of a fraternal organization over here that when we get dressed up in our regalia, one of the things that we're supposed to do is wear black socks. I cannot. If I wear anything but white socks, even for a half an hour, it takes me sometimes 2 months to get my feet back under control again.
Oh my gosh.
It's bad news.
Did either one of you have to ever be, like, have medics take care of you while you were over there, or, like, get injured where you were in, like...
No, I was pretty fortunate. I never did.
Bayonet. See that line right there?
Yeah.
That's why I say I was shooting people as close as you and me, and I got bayoneted.
Do you remember, like, the treatment and everything? Because I know they didn't have any,
They
like...
just sewed me up, and that was it.
Did you
Shit
go
me
back
up.
after that, or did you come
Yeah.
home?
Went back. I make 2 trips from McGuire Force Base, New Jersey to Thailand, and then we do a flyover to Da Nang and drop off the stuff. Twice a week. And kept doing it until 65, and adios amigos, I'm out. I'm done my job.
You know, you mentioned flying over there and back. One thing that gives you all a little bit of a chuckle, it really kind of messed with our heads. Coming back from Vietnam, we didn't notice it going over because when we crossed the international date line, we gained a day. But coming back home, we left out of Okinawa on Saturday afternoon. We flew for like 18 hours straight, and we landed in California on Friday morning, the day before we left. And that'll mess with your mind.
That is really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's
And,
different.
you know, I'm sure Tom had some good times over there. We had some good times over there that we try to remember and forget about the bad times.
I never stayed on the ground long enough.
Right?
I never stayed in Vietnam. I put down one time when the ship got nailed. We sent it to Thailand, and from there we took off. That was the last time I ever. Yeah, I was in Vietnam, but I was.
Do you have any like friends that you guys met over there that you still talk to or
Oh, heck
anything?
yeah. Oh, heck yeah. I got a friend up here in North Carolina. He's about 6'8", weighs about 350 pounds, and he's got arms only about like this. He saved my life, and I saved his life. We was on the same airplane. He will never, ever be separate because of it. He's a colored fellow, too. Very nice gentleman.
Did you drive or fly the airplanes?
No,
No.
I was a commercial refrigeration service tech when I went in,
Oh, right. Okay.
and I went in as an E5. And before I got out, I was an E9. I was up for Warrant Officer 1 before I got out. And they said I couldn't do the work because of my shoulder, so. Duh. Checking these condensing units off for the last 12 months, and you said I can't do it? That's what it was. Yeah, I have a real good friend. He's a real good friend. I saved his life, he saved my life. He was one of the 3 people that got off the plane. Me and him and the first lieutenant. Everybody else got killed.
I think that's it.
All I can think of.
You got goosey bumps?